All right. Top of the morning to you, ladies and gentlemen. This is Anand, editor, Dynamic Manufacturing India. This is day 2 of Industry Samurai Awards week, which is in its 4th year. Every year we meet at this time in November, December to discuss about the important issues that are facing us, that important opportunities that we're looking at in the manufacturing industry. Today's topic is obviously, as you know, it's on electric vehicles, which is one of the most important subjects, not only for this session, for Industry Samurai Week, but overall across the world, not only India, everybody is discussing electric vehicles. For me personally, let me tell you very briefly the reason why it's important to me. I believe that the world is undergoing the phase of electrification 2.0, is what I call it. Uh, Now, the idea, the attempt across the world in high income countries, particularly, and as well as emerging and developing economies, to identify areas that can be electrified. Now, the world has discovered an ally towards sustainability. Rediscovered would be a more apt expression in electrification, in electricity. And electric vehicles have come up as the most important tool, as the most important application of that quest. So to me and to gentlemen present here, to organizations around the world, electric vehicles are the biggest champions, biggest tools, applications for sustainability. So that is why this topic is so important. I'll come down to the first question, but before that, uh, I am so glad, so happy, pleased to tell you that we have thought leaders from the industry, from reputed organizations for this particular discussion. We have Mr. Uday Narang, founder and chairman, Omega Seiki Mobility. We have Mr. Yuvraj Sarda, head e-mobility solutions, Volvo Construction Equipment. We have Mr. Murali Krishnan Uriti, chief technical officer, Swaminath Enterprises. We have Mr. Luca Mattiucci, Managing Director, Marpos India, Mr. Raman Upmanyu, Industry Manager EV, Marpos India. I'm going to put my first question across to the speakers. But before that, a quick disclaimer from my side. I'm heavily invested into electric vehicle stocks across the value chain. So I'm relying to a great degree on these gentlemen to ensure that I get an early retirement in the Bahamas. No, I'm just kidding. But the investing part is true. So over to you, gentlemen. My first question is that how do you view the emergence, the rise of electric vehicles in the overall sustainability picture? My first question is to you, Uday. How do you view the rise of electric vehicles in this context?
Well, first of all, if you know, I used to be a hedge fund manager for 30 years. So I think if you're getting involved in electric vehicles, I'll tell you, keep an eye on AI. I think there are some developments going there. Please invest there. And I think also if you put both of them in early retirement, I think Bahamas is for the old school. There are multiple new locations that I and Luca can give you, and maybe in Italy or some other place where you can go. So coming back, thank you very much for the invitation, Dynamic India Manufacturing Magazine, and thank you to the entire teams at Meshmix and other places for putting together. And I'm looking forward to being later, in Bangalore later this week. But EVs, look, I think this journey didn't start today. This journey, in my view, was almost a decade ago. Obviously, where we are in this country in terms of 31 of the most polluted cities in the world are in our nation. If you care about building, a cleaner, greener, sustainable India, I don't think it's an option. It is the need of the hour. I'm in Delhi. I know Luca and his kids are here and his family's here. I would say, we need a much, much concentrated effort. EVs and green energy and sustainability has to be the core of the heart. I think, what is interesting right now is that when we started the journey, it wasn't that much popular. Today, every major player, and what I'm more excited to see is Tata, Mahindra, Piaggio, Bajaj. Everybody is in the mix, which tells me that better products, better quality, safer products, and we've got a government that is really inclined, and it's not just at the central level, but even at the state level. Every state, the state of Tamil Nadu, the state, Delhi is talking about even canceling, trucks, have to go electric by 2030. Punjab is there. Karnataka is leading. So I think, the opportunity and, it started with EV, but I think there are multiple other opportunities, whether, we're working, I'll tell you in January, I'll be able to show you something on a hydrogen. We'll do 400 kilometers on a single charge on a three-wheeler, and then we work on trucks. So my point is, there's a lot going on, a lot more development in the parts manufacturing. India can be a major player. You just heard, Tesla is having some interesting moves to come here. You just heard about VinFast from Vietnam coming in here. You are seeing everybody. The time and the development of electric vehicles, not just electric vehicles, but the manufacturing of parts, is a huge industry. And I think, I will be clearly saying that, guys like Volvo, guys like, the Mercedes, BMW, everybody understands the dynamic. In India, we say, Derai Drustai, meaning, Luca, you come a bit late, but coming late to the party is also okay. You get a few guys who are drunk anyway, so you get a better looking party. So what I'm saying is, everyone, guys, I'm going to try to mix it up a little bit, so that the audience also feels a little bit, and I see smiles in all of you guys. So please, it's very important. Then this is a real opportunity for all of us. And there is no competition. We are complementary. Volvo will work with somebody else. Marpos will work with us. We will work with, we just announced with Honda. So I think the old school IC game's over. The opportunities, and where next but to be in a country like this, where we've got people, we've got a younger generation, the third largest automobile market in the world, hopefully the third largest economy in the world. So I think the time and the opportunity is right. And I think it's up to India to grab it. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Uday. One request, Uday, if for our audience that comes from all the different verticals of the manufacturing industry, if you can share with them about something about your organization, about yourself, your experience in the field.
I'm so used to talking about the ecosystem. I never promote OSM, but yes, my name's Uday Narang. I'm the chairman and founder of Omega Seki Mobility. We are one of the major players. I don't want to talk about leading. All my competitors get a bit upset. I am one of the major players in the market. We have been a very significant player in the three-wheelers. We are focusing also again in the two-wheelers, and the trucks, which I'm most excited about, is something that hopefully, in the next year, we'll be able to see many, many more on the ground. We've got an ecosystem of, powertrains, batteries, motors. We've got dealerships across the country. I'm a disruptor. You're never going to let me go. You're never going to see me go away. I'm going to make sure that better products and better quality and safer products come to this country. And I'm going to force all the big boys and girls to put even more money into this game so that we can make an India which is cleaner and greener.
Wow, thanks so much for that optimistic note today. Murali, over to you about the question and about yourself, please.
Yes, Anand. Yeah. Hello. Thanks, Anand, and your team, first of all, to inviting me on this. And very nice to see Uday's strong talk on this EVs. And I'm so I'm also passionate about this industry from a long time. So it's like hair raising scenario. Okay. So just to introduce myself first quickly, my name is Murali, and I am the Chief Technical Officer of Swaminathan Enterprises Private Limited, based in Chennai. We are electric motor manufacturing company. We manufacture for domestic appliances as of now, and air conditioner motors and BLDC motors for air conditioners and washing machines. And coming up, my plan down this year is to getting into EVs soon, because my experience has always been into EVs for last 20 years. As you told, like electric revolution 2.0, it's basically exactly true, because I have seen that 1.0 rising up, going down, again coming up, So I've seen the Yo Bikes scenario, then coming back to almost like 100 to 120 companies were there at that time during 2010 time, and it gone down to almost like four or five companies like Ampere Vehicles, Hero Electric, and all. Then coming back, I was in China for 5 years in Shenzhen, working there. during that time, I have seen the growth of EVs in China as well, and also India as well. And now India is in a different, it is not like 1.0. 1.0's main loss, the reason for that is the after sales service is the big issue, because after service is the big issue because of the only the import and assembling and selling. That was the only business model during that time. But it's not like that. Now I can see the way the companies are dealing with the product. They are actually doing the real R&D there, and more of localization content is coming up. I'm still has to improve. We are just in the nascent stages, but my point of the sustainability of EVs, as you questioned, I'm looking forward as a multiple scenarios. One scenario is localization is very important. The ecosystem is very, very important for EVs, which has to be there. Otherwise, we cannot sustain within the Indian atmosphere. Second thing is, inter-company collaboration, as Uday was telling also, like we need to work together with other companies. And I'm seeing many, in LinkedIn nowadays, how the different companies are working together to having a common goal, right? So that kind of things are very, very important now. That kind of collaborations are important. And in addition to that, ecosystem like charging space, charging station development is also critical. Okay. So personally, what I'm thinking is, we are still in the nation stage for EVs, a lot to do. And, we need to work together on this and, grow towards the EVs by collaborating and working together on these specific problems of EVs and solve them. This is what my point of view overall.
Thanks so much, Murali. That's very informative. Yuvraj, an introduction to our readers and your take on the state of affairs in the EV industry.
Sure. Thank you so much, Anand, Mishmax, and everyone who's organized this forum for us to come together and share our views. My name is Yuvraj Sarda, and I look after electromobility business for Volvo Construction Equipment. Basically, just to give a bit more introduction about Volvo Construction Equipment, it's part of the Volvo Group, which makes buses, trucks, and construction equipment. And then there are many more smaller businesses that Volvo is part of. But here what we are trying to do as a construction equipment division of Volvo is we are trying to transition this industry to the future. And future is what you see in my background. That's the future of mining, where you will see autonomous electric haulers, which are going to be, and while I say this future, but this is future for India, this is something operational in Europe right now already. So just to share a bit more about Volvo as a group, Volvo is spearheading the transition of heavy duty commercial vehicles and equipments to electric. We've so far as a company deployed more than 4,000 electric trucks globally. And these are all medium to heavy duty trucks, and several hundred electric buses, and more than 1,000 electric construction equipment. As an organization, we are trying to basically transition the most impactful segments to electric. Now, coming to the Indian perspective, I have been fortunate to see this journey of India's transition on electromobility from 2012, when a National Electric Mobility Mission Plan was launched, and there was a plan to electrify to a certain extent by 2020, which was then further substantiated with FAME scheme and stuff. What I'm seeing today, I think when you talked about sustainability, while the first thing everyone thinks about is from environmental sustainability point of view, but there is also economic sustainability, and then there is also holistic aspect when it comes to the system efficiency and having the right mechanism or right mobility mechanism for the country. we as a country have been dependent on foreign oil, and the the area to move to electric is really very, very, very impactful, as we as a country are growing. We are the world's most populous country, and we continue to grow. Our mobility needs are growing. Our city infrastructure is developing. This is in turn gonna create more need and impact on the mobility part. And if we don't think about this ecosystem from a sustainability point of view, economic sustainability point of view, having the right solution that can leverage our homegrown energy, then it's gonna just add to the burden of the country. So while electromobility in one sense is solving the problem of pollution for the country, but on the other end, the economic benefit that it is giving to the exchequer in terms of reduced import of oil and leveraging the homegrown ecosystem is huge, and the way it is going to grow is only becoming bigger and bigger. The other aspect I want to touch upon, and I would really like to thank Uday. He's very well energized all of us and brought up all the aspects. So I'm just trying to cover those points which he's not brought up. Is the perspective that automotive for the last 100 years has been dominated by the West, right? And as a country, we have this opportunity to now, take control of it. Now we, with all the physical infrastructure, with the skills, the manpower, the amount of land resources that we have as a country, it's time to utilize that and support the world in terms of solutions which are sustainable for them. So this opportunity of transitioning from one set of technology to another set, and ensuring that technology is homegrown, developed locally, exported, and supplied to the world, and it is engineered frugally. It is done in a certain way which is which is kept which has kept sustainability long term in mind. That is a very, very important advantage for us as a country. So electromobility, the way it has been evolving and the way it has been adding to the whole sustainability aspect of what we are doing as a country, both these aspects are playing a huge, huge role. So we clearly see that electromobility is not just a trend or a fad. It is something here to stay, and probably for the next few decades. And there can be different energy sources, whether it is battery or a hydrogen or batteries of different metals, chemistries, etc. But the movement of vehicle will not be through engine, it will be through a motor. That is something that we all believe is now a more efficient way to do things. And that is, we all feel that in the next 20 years, as the world transitions, right, we are the ones who are also getting an economic benefit of this, and we want to be part of playing a significant role in changing the way world moves. And this is what electromobility as an industry is doing to the world from India. So there is so much to kind of share about what we do on the off-highway side of things, which I hope to bring out in the future. But in my opening remarks, this is what I want to share.
Thanks, Yuvraj. Thanks, Yuvraj. That's very insightful. Luca, after the much awaited introduction for our viewers, could you also throw light on the adoption of electric vehicles in India from the perspective not only domestically, but also from the standpoint of let's say a high income or a developed country and region like Europe, where the adoption rate is far greater and has happened earlier than it has happened in this part of the world. Luca, over to you.
Thank you very much. And thank you also to Dynamic Manufacturing India for again having hosted this very important event, especially in this time, in this particular moment of the history of India. And thanks to all my esteemed colleagues that are sitting with me in this panel discussion. Just a brief introduction of myself. I'm Luca Matteucci. I'm the managing director of Marcos here in India. I'm resident in Delhi for 2 years already, and before that I was in UK for 7 years. And prior to my UK experience, I was in China for 3 years, so more or less. I saw quite good part of the world, especially for the concerning of the EV market introduction. Marcos Group, just to more or less briefly about what is our side of the method, let's say, of the EV method. We are in measuring, inspection, and testing. So we are not the producer, but we are helping who is producing, those that are producing electrical things, not only electrical vehicles, that I want to underline this because the ecosystem has to be seen on 360 degrees, so coming also even a little bit outside from purely the automotive sector, on improving the quality of their product. One of the points that, from my point of view, because I'm coming from a different point of view from maybe a native Indian, is that if we as an India country want to make the difference, we want to become the leading country, especially in this technology, we need to beat on the quality of our product, because you know better than me that China already spoiled the cheapest solution, but also the short-term working and efficiency solution. You know? So this kind of go-to-market model has been already spoiled by China. And now what the end user, especially the people that are going now to approaching the EV, what they want is having, in their point of view, a return of investment. So what means? I'm not looking to purchase a car or a two-wheeler or three-wheeler that is costing me double or thrice an IC vehicle to have it change in the next 4 or 5 years, because the battery is gone, because there is a leaking, because the efficiency is dropping down, etc. I'm looking to invest, yes, a good amount of money, but for something that will endure in the time. And that is where Marcos Group is placing. Coming back to your question, especially from the European point of view, maybe you know that EU Commission put a very stringent target on the emission. It's been also banned the selling of all new internal combustion engine vehicle from 2040, if I not remember wrong, because there's been some changes in the dates. And that, I think that is a only way to convince, first of all, the producer, and second, the end user, to convert to the EV vehicle. Not because, I mean, changing is never easy. So pushing people outside their comfort zone is one of the most difficult things. If you ask someone to change their habit, you will really find difficult on doing this, you know, unless you are not forcing them on doing this. But it's not a forcing, that is, this force doesn't have to see as a punishment, you know, have to be seen as the better quality life for everyone, and especially for the future generation, for my kids, who they know very well that we are struggling a lot, and especially those that are living here with me in Delhi are struggling a lot with this strong pollution. Before Diwali, we reached very dangerous levels. I'm personally contributing, because I purchase and I'm contributing on monitoring the air quality level, because it's a serious matter, it's a serious concern for everybody. So we need to act all together. And this imposement, if you want to see under this point of view, have to be seen not as we are the cash cow where the government want to milk us, for making. No, this imposement have to be seen that we need to act all together, but with a decisive way to improve the quality of our life, to improve our environment. We got only one planet, guys, so we can't trash it away. Absolutely.
Thanks so much, Luca. That is a really helpful answer that helps explain a lot of questions that readers and viewers have in their mind. Raman, please share your introduction and the answer to the question. What is the state of affairs in the EV industry in the market?
So thank you, Anand and Dynamic India Manufacturing for organizing this such a great event. So I'm Raman Upmanyu. I'm working as a EV industry manager here in Marcos, India. Since Mr. Luca Mattiucci already introduced you to Marcos, I will just add one point to it. What we do, we support, we help, and we actually support to fulfill the dream of people like Uday. Because Uday said that he wants to have a quality product in the market. So we support and we help the people to ensure the quality of the product before it rolls out to the market. So we are assuring the lives basically. I would say that whenever Uday comes to any panel discussion, you forget the question because you only listen to him. But now currently I remember the question.
I endorse that opinion.
So now, but currently I focus on the question and now I remember the question. So talking about India now. So is India ready to go to the market for EV? I would say we are not completely ready as of now. We are on the verge of readiness. Yes, we are developing a lot of things. We are doing a lot of, investments and everything. But to be ready to beat the Western side, as Mr. Murli said, or, Volvo said that, okay, fine, to beat the Western side, we need to take certain actions. I would say that first action we should take to develop the, this ecosystem is we need to develop the supplier ecosystem first. The companies like, I would say I visited Tata last month. Companies like Tata are investing a lot. They are doing the joint ventures for particularly the the main two components of EV, that is batteries and for the motors. Batteries, they have done the joint venture with Goshen Energy, that is China, and they have done the joint venture for motors for Prestolites. So supplier ecosystem has to be developed. Apart from that, you need to have the skilled manpower. Obviously, we in India are having a lot of engineers, lot of manpower available. But to develop this infrastructure, we need to have this skilled manpower. So for that, we need to give continuous trainings, continuous, everything what we can do to our manpower to be like totally fully equipped to develop this ecosystem. After that, I would say that obviously government is doing a lot. Government has put up a lot of policies. Government policies, like, they are giving a lot of tax benefits, subsidies they are giving just to, be ensured that, okay, fine, this has to be done within year 2035, 2040. Government has an aim to, have this adoption of at the rate of 49% CAGR till 2030, but that is not possible. If I would say that is like very difficult task for us, but yes, we can do. I would say that collaboration and with support of all of the people, we can achieve at least not in 2030 but in 2040 some of the amount.
Thanks so much, Raman. Now we come to one of the most favorite parts of this conversation and the others, and I'm sure it is the same for you gentlemen as well, and it is the market. Now, early this year, gentlemen, I did a back of the envelope calculation. I took some numbers from the Ministry of Transport and looked at the total number of vehicles that are on the road that are operational in India, and looked at how many electric vehicles, what is the share of electric vehicles that are actually there being used by the owners and the users. So the adoption rate, or more precisely, the market share of electric vehicles in operation came to be something around 0.5%, which which is not very inspiring, uh, to say the least. The adoption, now there was an Arthur D. Little report about the adoption rate of the country, and it said that it is at a low level of 2% for now. And in order, and but the reports were enthusiastic, saying that by 2050 it will reach the level of 50%, but that is some way to go, and that is incumbent on a lot of factors, including the regulations, the state of the ecosystem, and such like. So my question to you, gentlemen, starting with Uday, is Uday, how do you see the market from a very object? I know you're very excited, and I've spoken to you, we've spoken to you before also, and that's really promising. You share a very promising picture from your standpoint of a manufacturer and a supplier. But what is an objective view of the present and the future of electric vehicles from a market standpoint in India?
And I think I'll answer that very, very clearly. And I love that question. Rome wasn't built in one day. In India, we want to build 10 Romes in one day. Unfortunately, we want to be on the moon, and we want to look, being on the front lines here right from day one. So we had no financing, had to put my own financing company now financing charging infrastructure. You have to understand, if you look at it on the three-wheelers, already about 50 to 53% of three-wheels are electric. Two-wheelers, they're going to be a continuous, we're going to get there 50, 60. On the four-wheelers, it will take some time. And I'll tell you why. And I don't want to blame anybody. The blame is all on us to work complementary. The AI 156.1, AI 156.2, continuous delay in payments of subsidies. The government has been a little bit like this on a lot of things, right? I think, the policies are good. If one person blows the red light, doesn't mean we're all there. I think, the ecosystem wasn't there. I think you will see I will tell you, the change is there. The change needs to come. There's an inflection point. I think in three and two-wheeler, the TCO model is already there. I think on the four-wheelers that where you talk about, it will take some time. We need the ecosystem in terms of charging infrastructure. The biggest problem today, if you asked me 2 years ago, the biggest problem was financing. Today, financing is not as big a problem. What the issue is, it's charging. Because it's like going to a wedding. You've got the groom, but the bride's missing, right? I mean, we're going to just dance by ourselves. So the charging infrastructure has to be there. Obviously, you cannot compare what is happening in US. Uncle Joe writes checks on electric or green energy like no tomorrow. In EU, it is very different. India is never going to be like this. Now, I do believe, and I firmly believe, and I continue to put my money where my mouth is that three and two-wheelers, which are the major part of this country's system, will be electric. Now, four-wheeler commercial is definitely going to be, moving towards it. I think the number of green plates I see in the cities is, whether you go to Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, but I think where the real war and the where battle lines is where, continuously I'm spending, it's tier 2, 3, 4 cities where the 1.2, 1.4 billion people live. And I think a concerted effort, I do think that, I'll tell you one question. I have no shortage of people wanting to buy vehicles. I'll give it like that. Right? Now, the question is making sure the supply chain, making sure the infrastructure, making sure the service centers, making sure all of this. If you really got to think, and don't take me wrong, Bajaj was going to have a few people for oats of 2 years ago. Now he's promoting EVs. So you are seeing, it hasn't been that long, about maybe a maximum 3 to 4 years in this country where we really start. I mean, Piaggio, Mahindra was there, but all the big boys and girls just started coming in, right? So it takes, on the buses side, on the commercial vehicle side, also there has been some, on the bigger vehicles, there's no FAME subsidy for trucks even now, right? So I'm telling you that the market is, I definitely see, India Macau, what happens is until you win a gold medal, nobody knows anybody. Now that boy from Haryana who's like a rock star, who's who's taking pictures, all the girls love him because he won a gold medal. So I'll tell you, this conversation of ours, I know one thing. Luca, my brother said, I got 2 boys and 2 kids here in this country who are breathing this air. I don't care. I think the market is here. I think the products and the price is very price sensitive. Marpo's boys would say, whenever they meet me, I said, I'm very price sensitive because the customer is very price sensitive, right? So what I want to say is that I think this conversation 2 or 3 years down the road will be different. At least I believe so. At least where I put my money in my mouth is. And I think the demand is, but at a price. And I think the price sensitive. We came up with trucks. They were 15 lakhs. Some other guy comes in with an 8 lakh truck to give you, 150 kilometers, air conditioning, airbags. Nowhere in the world you can do that. So we went back to the drawing board. So look, I do believe that there is a smaller market, but I'll tell you what, how long has it been? The ICE market has been forever. So if you look at it, compares apples to apples, I'll tell you what, 10 years later, then we'll talk. But I think if you can't survive in this game, if you just focused on round A, B, C, D, which I don't see anything wrong about, this takes some time and it takes some effort. At least I'm in for the long haul. I got no place to go. I left Switzerland. I'm here. I'm just going to stay here. I got no other place to go. So I'll keep working on it. Thank you.
Great. Very well put, Uday. Now, a related question, Uday, and I'm going to ask this to other gentlemen as well. See, the market, as you rightly put, and of course, the proof of the pudding is in the eating, as they say. Now, when we look around, we see that the most number of users of electric vehicles are in the 2-wheeler and 3-wheeler category. We are seeing delivery boys, for example, adopting it with great fervor. We see in tier 2, tier 3 cities, people who are driving auto rickshaws or who are pulling, actually, that is something really heartening for me to see. They have people who were operating these manually pulled cycle rickshaws. They have taken to e-vehicles, which is a great thing for me to see. So these are the markets, these are the target consumers, is what I'm trying to get at, Uday, is that 2-wheeler, 3-wheeler segment. This is the part where the real potential of this market lies. Now, this is the meat of the question, is that do you see the automotive companies, the OEMs, the suppliers targeting this part of the market, orienting their products in a way that they make this segment of the market more aware of the product? This is where the real spark of the revolution lies, so to speak. Uday, over to you.
I'll tell you what, I've been trying to push passenger 3-wheelers into Mumbai. The unions are, even though the TCO model works, they're fighting it. But I'm going to keep fighting back, right? We'll make it force. I was in Goa just now. Goa, they don't want, to bring electric vehicles. I think the 3 and the 2-wheeler, the TCO models are clearly there. I think on buses, we've got, I know Volvo is doing some great work. I mean, there are multiple others. Switch, my good friend Mahesh Babu at Switch Mobility is doing some good work. I'm seeing a lot of work on the LCV market. But I tell you, I do see over the next 3 to 4 years, I would say a good 70 to 80% of 3 and 2-wheelers will be electric. We are coming out with some new vehicles in January that'll take, a 3-wheeler will take up to a ton, 1.2 ton, right? On a 3-wheeler with the chassis, with the speed. We're coming out with 2-wheelers. So my point is, yes, I am seeing every one of the OEMs have clearly felt that this is something that has, and I'm telling you, if you go, and I keep saying, in the two-wheeler space, Honda and Hero are the two big players. If you look at the market, look at what TVS has done, right? I'm saying all the big players understand. If you were, and I'm not saying, I make a very bold statement, if you were to speak to Munjalji, where the future of Hero is, he'll say it's electric. If you go to Volvo, I'm sure. So the clarity is that the OEMs clearly understand the transition is there. I seriously want to say, and I think 3-4 years in a development of an automobile is nothing, right? And I think the speed at which we have gone, and I'll tell you, at tier 3 and 4 cities, if you ask me, that is where you're going to find Uday. I'm going to miss my Italian food with Luca in tier 3 and 4 cities, but that's where I think the battle is going to be won. And I think the OEMs see it, at least at OSM. I'm going to be there. It's a tough battle. Nobody said this is going to be easy. If it's easy, do something, build an AI company. I think it's easier than what we are doing, right? And I'm telling you that 5 years from now, mark my words on whatever I'm saying. When we talked 5 years ago, nobody said, you know what my mother said when I put money in this business? She said, "Ye pagal hai, he's mad. Go get him checked out." Okay? And I'm saying, listen 4 to 5 years ago. From now, I will tell you, we will convert everyone. I think it's happening. You can convert him to Hindu, you can convert to Christian. I'm not biased, so I'm going to use that word very carefully. But what I'm saying is that, we want to make sure. I do see the market. Honestly, I am no short of selling any product we come out. Build it safe. Build it safe. They haven't paid me. Marpos hasn't paid me. I'm telling you, but build it safe. I keep telling you, in the name of round ABCD, please don't put products out there. Don't do this, because it could be your sister and it could be my mother. It could be anyone. We have to build for the long term. That, I think, now enough OEMs at the bigger level, I clearly see them understand. The question is, how do I make them push for better products and a mass products? You have been at China. Lucas had been, Luca had been in China. The other gentleman at Volvo has been in China. I think when you build the ecosystem, the key part is building ecosystem. The state of Tamil Nadu is building the ecosystem. We got to build this. I was just, talking to the UP government that Yogi ji needs to build an ecosystem in UP. They got to be building in Madhya Pradesh, and they got to be building it in Orissa. I'm pushing. Hopefully, these elections are going to be over very soon, and we can get back to work in making this country cleaner and greener. I'm saying a lot of controversial things. I hope I don't get hammered for it, but I'll just say what I have to. Right?
Absolutely, Uday. You are in the right place, and you put your money in the right market, Uday, because we need your involvement and more such crazy people in this market to take this to the inflection point. And as you know, Uday and other speakers, that when Indians take to something, they take it to with a festive spirit, and that once we reach that inflection point, then suddenly we'll see a greater rate of adoption. Murali, what is your take on the Indian market, and what Uday said about the ecosystem? What do you feel about that, as well as the fact that in addition to the ecosystem, the intent of the buyer, the interest of the buyer, how to magnify that in terms of the right messaging, in terms of the right awareness? Murali, what do you?
Yeah. So my perspective, the question what you asked, there are three points I just want to divide it. Like, first one is about product level. Product level, we have still the product level, the issues are there in terms of range and safety issues as of now. Okay, we are talking a lot about the EV fires, and also the range is not sufficient for the required range of the customer expectation. So these things are still having a problem. Okay, so these things has to be solved in terms of product, and that is where, the next level ecosystem, where how do we develop the products in terms of efficiency and make the vehicle in higher efficiency level, and get the better range, and get a better battery technology coming up, better motor technology coming up will be this is all onto research and development side, Then coming up, one more thing is after sales service. So nowadays we see a lot of chaos in social media, like electric vehicles are having problem and the customers are keeping it online now, and companies are reverting back, but somehow there is a gap between customers and expectation and companies response on that, and that is also creating a new issues basically, that is also one important thing would need to be sorted out, solving the customer's problem immediately. In my view, this kind of issues can be solved only when the street level repair companies also get into this particular point, particular, after the service network. That is the main solution which I am proposing myself from long time, but it's not happening right now because of technology issues. I know that, but it has to be done. How the Maruti or how the big companies like, they train their dealers frequently. They spend money to train them, and then finally they make sure the customers are happy for it, right? So that has to be done. This is what the important point, what I wanted to highlight that from my side. Coming back to the infrastructure point of view, as already Uday has been talking on many points on that. Coming on to the charging infrastructure, still we have, for example, there are 10 companies, we have 10 connectors, the 10 types of connectors, 10 types of protocols of charging and all. So we need to standardize those chargings. So then only, like, as a customer, if I go anywhere on the road, on a highway, I can go to any point, I can just connect it out there and I can charge it. So that is the main issue I can solve. The range anxiety issue can be solved in a different way. One thing is in terms of working on battery technology and all. Other thing is ecosystem development side. Okay, coming up to the localization topic, for example, supplier ecosystem, what I was just talking to you earlier also. That is the main thing, which I wanted to emphasize here, because, we have supplier ecosystem still not growing. Okay, we are major portion we are importing as of now, even the batteries, even the motors. So that is where, as a supplier of motors for my side, even I should be working on in terms making it more reliable, more cost effective as well, to fight with imported motors as well. For example, motors, because my product is motors there. Okay, so that is the one thing which I need to. In addition to that, for example, in motors perspective, if I wanted to manufacture motors in India, if I wanted to have a hub motor with the aluminum die casting, where do I go? I just need to go get from China. I don't have any other option, at least in India right now. So I need to invest on a huge tooling for that. Even the suppliers may not be ready for doing that for me. So these issues are there which need to be tackled out. So what I see, Tata is starting up right now in a better way, at least not in a specific to EV components, but at least they are working on a common platform kind of idea, which really I appreciate that, where almost 80% of the components, the same Tata electric Nexon cars, for example. So they're just using the same platform. So they're reducing the cost in that point of view. And specific to EVs, they're importing or they're manufacturing is the secondary point. Okay, so this kind of things, all companies has to adopt and make sure the products are more reliable, more cost effective as well. And finally, I wanted to tell, like, as we go back again to electrification 1.0 to 2.0, as Uday was also telling, wait for 10 more years, we will be in that, we can see how the things will be going. Exactly, I am with that point as well. The reason why is electrification 1.0, when we see that it was steel lead acid batteries were ruling at that time. Now people are we are changing into lithium ion batteries. The reason is nothing but purchasing power. That is the main important thing, has also been added up now. Okay, adding to the community as a whole. So coming up next 10 years, the purchasing power will be more, technology understanding will be more, and people's thinking towards the sustainable environment will be more also. So those all will be pushing to the next level, and I am fully positive about this particular transformation as well. Personally, I think I answered your question, or anything else you can ask me.
There is one slightly something that has been playing on my mind, and I'd request other gentlemen also to respond to this. Is that, the marketing, the demand side. I see that the same fervor and exuberance that we've seen in the past. If you remember the Bajaj ad, Kuch Baat Hai, and you know, Fevicol, Asian Paints, and Tata Ka Namak, and things like that. So although they were not obviously technological products or not some great revolution happening over there, but companies used to attach a pan India sentiment. They used to be very excited about these things that are going to bring change. Now, if you compare that sentiment, the pan India sentiment, and see that the technology of batteries, that is energy storage and electric vehicles, all these things are so pivotal for our progress into the next century. The energy storage, for example, I mean, last week, Elon Musk was on this podcast of Lex Friedman, and he said that electricity is the only industry where you have no option for buffering, for storage. You have to produce electricity as per the peak demand. So that's crazy. He said, even now, we do not have any solution for energy storage, and that's where batteries come into picture. So batteries, electric vehicles, they are so important for our technological advancement, and yet companies, uh, government authorities, regulators, these guys, us guys are not talking in such excited terms. So what am I missing here is my question is. That is something if you could answer, Murli.
Yeah. So as you told, like, yeah, the talk between different stakeholders in EVs is really critical. Okay. And my point here is, as you told, like pan India advertising, what you just told, that kind of things will
More like
help.
a sentiment or acknowledgement that there is
Mm,
something great about to happen and we need to be a part of it. What is missing? So
okay.
messaging is one part, but yes, inter
we
stakeholder
need to
communication.
we need to do it in a better storytelling way. Maybe I'm not so good at that. Okay, so as you told, that kind of promotions will help, but it should be coming as a government initiative, not as a company initiative, where governments can promote as a overall. And in a other perspective, what I can tell is, if government is using 100% of their fleets in EVs, for example, that will be the biggest advertisement I can tell. Nothing else we need to talk about. Just use EVs in their daily fleets, coming maybe 100 kilometers range, whatever EVs are, buses are going around. Yeah, now it started now. Switch Mobility is providing to government some things, different companies are working on that. So it has to grow. And when people see and experience that EV revolution is happening, the things will automatically grow. No need of any special, programs even. So that experience has to be coming is what my thought altogether. Okay, experience of that
I
EVs,
think
then yeah, yeah.
that's well articulated. Right. I mean, I'm just saying that when we speak of China and when we speak of the top-down approach that you mentioned, that the government has to really support. My feeling is that any kind of a market revolution or market demand upsurge has to come from bottom up rather than top down, and that's where my
Okay.
issue with this thing stems from.
I can give you an example in China. Okay, like till 2019, I was there in China. I was seeing there are petrol vehicles also, cabs, petrol cabs also there, and also there are electric vehicle cabs, BYD cabs, but the blue color cabs will be there around in Shenzhen. So 2023, when I went again to China, all these petrol vehicles are gone. I didn't see any petrol vehicles around an airport. Only BYD vehicles are going around all the airports. So
Okay.
that kind of change should be there in even in terms of government also. It is not
Okay.
only the bottom up; it should be top down also should be there. It's a mix of both,
Okay.
making it a optimized solution for the environment altogether. That is what
Fair
my
enough.
thinking.
Fair enough. So, not to rob the time of other speakers, my only issue with that, to put it in a better articulated way, that we are seeing this as an infrastructure issue rather
Yes.
than a product issue. When we talk about infrastructure, then top-down approach is needed. Luca, your views. I'm so sorry we stressed this discussion. Uh, Please, Luca, your views on this.
Yeah, this time I'm speaking not as a producer, but as an end user, because I have an electric vehicle. So now I'm reversing the side, so I'm sitting on the other side of the table, and they say yes. First of all, there is a perception issue, if we'll call like this, and one of the first is where are the charging points? There are enough of charging point, and if I'm finding out that I'm going on the highway and I got 10% battery left, I'm sure that I got the charging points near me where I can stop. At the moment, for my first experience that I got, the answer is no. So, I mean, I'm charging my car at home. For my lucky, I got enough charging kilometer. I say not a lot of kilometer to come from Delhi to Manesar. So with one fully charged, I'm able to go up and down at least for time. But if I have to say, if you ask me, are you confident to take your car and go, I don't know, to Jaipur or to, I don't know, see the Taj, etc. Honestly speaking, my answer would be no. My answer would be no. But it's not only valid for India, because the same discussion I have with my father, that you also thinking to switch to electrical vehicle, because as we said before, European governments and European countries put a very stringent regulation. And for example, if you got a old car, but not so old, so we're not talking about a car of 20 years ago, but even 6-7 years ago, you can't physically enter in the city center or in the city itself, because there are cameras everywhere that are recognize your number plate, and if your vehicle is not respecting that European Euro 6 or whatever, you receive a fine, and the quotation of points on your is a very big problem. So it means they put very stringent regulations. So everyone is looking also to switch to the EV or to a vehicles that are able to enter in the cities. But one of the main points, because he's living not in the city, but he's living outside the city in the countryside, one of the points that he's asking me, but Luca, what do you think? As in, I will be able to recharge my vehicle, first of all, fast enough. Second, there will be enough charging point, because this is another point that we need to keep in consideration. Then users like me are looking only mainly on 2 points: velocity of charging and the capillary network of the charging point, because that we are interested for. If I have to go to the appointment, I don't want to stack up at the charging point for 2 hours just because there is a slow charging point, etc. I want something that is charging in, I don't know, in a time of a coughing, on a stop to the toilet, or a quick break. So in the maximum half an hour. That is what I'm looking for. And I give you another personal experience. Last December, I was in Sweden. I've been really surprised that Sweden is one of the countries where I see a lot, and I think that the majority of electric vehicles. There were electric vehicles everywhere. So in a climate environment that is for sure is not very friendly, because we are talking about temperature that is going minus 30 degrees, minus 40 degrees, snow for the long time of the year, ice. So I see also the battery in this kind of environment is not giving the best of their effort. But the government push a lot on this, and the conscious of the people, of the Swedish people, help them to do this step to say, yes, if we are switching to the EV, this will be better for our country, our environment, for our kids, etc. So have to be seen in a very point of view. As a user, the first thing, if we want really move forward on the electrification of the country, is change the perception of the end user is having about the EV. One of the first things is, apart the price, but recharge point and time of the recharge. That is my view in this.
Thanks, Luca. I appreciate you taking up the perception part of the puzzle, and that's something that I have been trying to understand. That if we have to push a product or a solution top down, and regulators have to do it, the government has to do it, and it's happening in Europe as well. I mean, Norway, which is one of the biggest adopters of EV, has some regulations that have helped increase adoption rate, and a side, and that's been a side effect of the Russia-Ukraine war as well, that Europe is now more conscious about increasing its dependence on electric vehicles. So obviously, it takes some sort of a push for people to realize the importance of a technology for sustainability. So I get that point. Thank you for explaining it so well. Yuvraj, what is your take on what is the missing piece of the puzzle? And you spoke about commercial vehicles, and as Uday said, trucks, commercial vehicles, trucking is such an important part of the market that is adopting this at a good rate. How enthusiastic you are about the adoption of batteries, of EVs in commercial vehicles?
So see, Anand, when it comes to in electrics, there's a thumb rule, right? The more distance you drive, the economics against an electric starts to become better, right? So when it comes to truck, these are commercial these are commercial products. They are meant for high utilization, which is a great start for considering that for electric, because with electric, you would want an asset which is highly utilized to be able to amortize the cost of battery faster. With trucks, what challenge is that we see is, to be able to package the amount of battery which is required for truck to meet its operational requirements. And in that, there is now segmentation being done. When it comes to trucks, there are applications identified. Especially one simple application is a middle mile application for e-commerce companies. There are hub-to-hub transports where the trucks are running from one hub to the other and then doing back and forth. So this is a very, very easy use case where you take two hubs, you do, back and to and fro, and you can actually deploy chargers. You can have an optimized battery for that route and actually make the TCO better against a diesel truck. Right. That is one aspect of it. The other aspect of truck is, when it comes to the diversity that they need in terms of being able to do different terrains, being able to do different climatic conditions, being able to do very, very long distances. So those require slightly more level of robustness and slightly more sophistication in terms of thermal management, which are the ones are also adding to some level of costing in terms of having a truck or a battery for an electric truck. So basically, if you look at from applications which are easy to do today to the application which are the most diverse applications, there is a clear, you can say, area where electrification is seen as a solution for trucking. And then the rest of the area is actually being solved through other means. Could be hydrogen, could be, CNG, could be some low emission fuel. So in truck, the way industry is seeing the developments that 100% of electrification may not be possible even in the next.
Sorry to interrupt you, Raj. When you say rest of the areas, do you mean the supply chain part of it, or within the vehicle you're talking about hybrid CVs? Like one vehicle is run on different types, varieties of ways.
So basically in trucks, you are going to use other fuel types, like there will be biofuels, there will be ethanol.
Okay, different renewable options. Okay.
Yeah, different, because the IC engine in truck may not cease to exist. We might continue to use certain trucks with an IC engine, but we may opt for a fuel which is, less emitting, or maybe we switch to hybrid options at certain places. But there is a large proportion of the truck segment which can be electrified, starting with the use cases which are easy to do today, going up to slightly more complex use cases. And then there might be a limit when it comes to being able to package certain amount of battery or the overall cost economics of the truck for that matter. And that's where you start to look at other solutions like hybrid or alternate fuels as well.
Which one are you personally most excited about? Electricity or other types of renewables?
See, when it comes to personal, choice, all you want, that truck as a segment, which is very highly emitting because of the usage it has, it requires a zero emission solution. And it doesn't matter whether that zero emission solution comes from a motor and battery combination, whether it comes from a fuel cell motor combination, whether it comes from a hydrogen and ice combination, or whether it comes from maybe another biofuel, which is probably having very low emission or maybe no emission. But the idea should be that how do we ensure that the entire trucking industry is adopting one of these and being able to, because the impact that a truck makes to the environment is huge. And not just truck, even these heavy machineries that are being used in mines right now, they are out of sight.
So that's what I was trying to come. Sorry to interrupt, but the construction industry, what is the situation in the construction industry in terms of the usage of different types of energy sources in India?
See, sorry to say, but it's horrible today. It's the entire construction equipment industry is running on diesel, and not just running, they are guzzling diesel. They are guzzling to the extent that there are several mines who have their own fuel pumps because of the amount of fuel they consume. We are talking about 50,000 to 1 lakh liters of diesel every day. That level of consumption we're talking about. And given I've spent like 10 years in 2-3-wheeler industry, and when I've come here this side, I was like, gosh, what I was trying to look for efficiency.
I'll interrupt you.
Yes.
I'll tell you what's going to change. And I'll tell you, and mark my words, guys and ladies and gentlemen, the battery costs are coming like this, right? 30% of the cost. And I'm going to come back to what you were talking about. Why is there such a low level? The costing of the entire, if battery costs drop, in my personal view, by 30 to 40%, if powertrain cost, which I do see, drop 30 to 40%, I'll tell you, ICE game will get affected in a big way. And it's happening and it's coming. Sorry, I interrupted in that. And in the mining,
it was important. Absolutely.
This is something that absolutely is going to happen. The battery, I can give you a shout out. The power in EVs, battery and powertrain are the major part of the costs. You cut that by 30 to 40%, we're there. And in commercial vehicles and in mining equipment, and if you include the TCO model, and if you include the diesel, and I'll be honest with you, nobody gives a monkey here in our country about the environment. They care about Mary Jane. How much money did I save? I'm sorry to say. And if you save them money, every damn vehicle, every bus, everyone. Listen, I'm telling you, at the end of the day, Luca talked about the pollution. We knew in Diwali, we don't need to burn any firecrackers, but the damn idiots still did. So I'm sorry to say.
Thanks for voicing that.
Bring them safe in India. Bring them the safety of money, and I think everyone here in this team will agree. Reduce the price. It's going to happen. They'll buy it. That's the way it works, unfortunately.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for voicing that thing about the firecrackers as well. Raman, your take on the market, the perception. What is missing?
Actually, the missing thing is, like you said, that Tata has started promoting the things of, Desh Ka Namak. So the market awareness is missing for electric vehicles as of now in India, I would say. So to do that, what we need to do is we need to aware the audience of India that benefits of electric vehicles. I'll just tell you technical benefits of electric vehicle. Everyone knows pollution. Okay, fine, pollution will be reduced. Noise pollution will be also reduced. I would say that the technical benefit is energy consumption will also be that electric vehicle is an efficient source, energy efficient source. Why? How? I will tell you how. Because the energy which electric vehicle is driving from the grid or from any power source, the maximum of that energy is going on to the vehicular movement. And if I talk about the ICE engine, the maximum, the energy which ICE engine is driving, that is like losing as a heat. We are losing that energy as a heat. So electric vehicle are very energy efficient source. We are moving towards a technology, Mr. Murli will agree with me in this, we are moving towards a technology of regenerative braking system also in electric vehicles. So in that, whenever you de-escalate or whenever you put up a brake, the energy will be stored, and that energy will be used to charge the battery again.
Battery.
So this is the technology where we are moving towards. Where we are lagging is onto the, as Uday said, that 30% of the cost is for the cell manufacturing, if I said. So in order to stop the dependency on the China, particularly if I talk about, because we are totally, honestly, my personal perspective says we are totally dependent on China for everything nowadays. So in order to have these, like, stop the dependency on particular one country, we need to diversify it, because we know that we don't have the nickel, cobalt, lithium resources available here in India. Lithium we found there in Jammu and Kashmir, but ultimately for the raw material we need to be dependent on some of the countries. But rather than to be dependent on only one country for the supply chain, we should diversify our supply chains. That is my point of view.
Thanks so much, Aman. All great insights. Now we have time just for one more question. So I'll just ask that question, and this is from okay, there's somebody from LinkedIn, and it's about an EV infrastructure. But before I come to you, gentlemen, I quickly want to add my views that about the cost that Uday mentioned, that it needs to be more affordable for the users to reach an inflection point, or for the usability, for the affordability to come to a point. Now, I happen to be from a part of the country that contributes, I would argue, the maximum number of people to the occupation of auto-wheeler, three-wheeler drivers, and I happen to have a lot of conversations with them when I'm traveling in them. And in my experience and knowledge, limited field research, cost is not seemingly an issue, because they set aside a particular investment. They say that we'll invest X amount of rupees into buying a three-wheeler, and then they come up with innovative ways of battery swapping, for example. So charging infrastructure is also not an issue for them. They're very excited that this gives us an option for a livelihood, which other modes of transport do not give us. So costing and infrastructure, these two things are not the issue, but to them, they're looking more for an awareness on the part of the greater population that this is a good thing to do. So they are not aware about the sustainability impact of what they're doing. That they are not aware of. So that's where I was kind of trying to get at the messaging part, the awareness that this thing is a good thing for the environment as well, is what is the missing piece of messaging that's not getting to them. But the investment and the costing and infrastructure part, they've already solved at their end. They're not worried about that.
And these have to come from the education of the people. So these have to come from the young generation that have to bring this forward. So I have to be explained in the school, have to be there should be a very strong government campaign on what are the benefits.
That's not happening
of this environment. Exactly. This is one of the points. And if I can add one just small thing about what Raman just said. In my view, India has got a very, very, very important and potential here. You got a lot of sun, guys. You got a lot of sun. So you can produce a lot of green and renewable energy to flooded in the grid. So you have to think about this as an advantage. A lot of other countries, like where I stay in UK or even Sweden, they got much, much less sun days compared to what you got. Another big point here, with all these energies that the sun is giving to us, we can also produce green hydrogen. So you see, you have to see these kind of ecosystem. And as Uday just correctly said, the battery is a measure of the cost. So we have to invest also in the research and development of new kind of batteries. I know that someone is trying to develop the sodium batteries or solid state batteries. This is another good point. If we are able to diversify the source of energy, lithium battery, sodium battery, solid state battery, etc., you know, the average market price will go down because there is more offer, and due to the market
Great
behavior.
point. So that's yes, Luca, please carry on.
So due to the market behavior, you know, you having more offer, the price will go drastically down because we give to the end user the choices based on their also most utilization of the vehicle, you know.
Now, my last question, which comes from
Anand, I just want to add one point over here.
Yes.
Just my question to non-EV segment people, that why there is no market adaptability for EV currently. It comes to my mind right now. If I ask a person who is not at all aware about the EV to establish a charging station, will he do? No. Why? The reason why he won't establish a charging station is because he will think that what I will do the whole day, no one will come over here. And it's a vice versa thing also. Being a buyer, if you'll ask me to buy a EV vehicle, I will not buy. Why? Because I will think that there is no charging station. So what we need to do is we need to have the marketing campaign to see how we can promote the sales of the electric vehicle, how we can develop this ecosystem. Because
so awareness is a big part of the puzzle. Absolutely.
Yes,
Thanks, Raman. So our last question to all the eminent panelists is,
Anand, you're on mute.
sorry, speaking of awareness, I went on mute. All right. So the question is that mining of raw material for EVs, and particularly EV batteries, of course, leaves a very high carbon footprint. Are EVs truly sustainable? That's a question that's being asked a lot. Uday, your take on this?
Sorry, mining is a dirty business. I totally understand. I was, my previous life, I was a hedge fund manager, one of the larger commodity traders in the world. And I understand being in the mines in Latin America, being part of, being in DRC Congo, many other places, and in India. I'm sure, if you go to mining sites, I think that there has to be a change. There has to be a culture change. I keep saying, we've come a long way, but we haven't come a long way, right? I think this is something where government policies, where stakeholders, look, if you want to build businesses here in India, I would tell everyone it's a marathon. There's no Usain Bolts here. You want to do 100 meter dash. I think there's only one way I can tell you. I think we have come a long way. There is going to be a huge amount of work to be done. I think equipment and all around mining development has to happen. It has to be a complete private-public partnership. You cannot depend on anything if you think that the government is going to do for you. No. I think this is not, I keep saying, this is not Europe and this is not United States. Please look at India with the glasses of India. I spent 35 years abroad, and I think Luca, I relate to Luca. If you just come here and look at it from another eyes, you'll run out of this town very fast. I'm hoping Luca will stay a little bit more longer. He said he was here 2 years, and I'm hoping he's going to be here another 2 years. And hopefully the AQI won't go to 2,000, so he'll be here. But what I'm saying, I'm here. I got no choice, I told you. But the point is that I think, green energy and sustainability will be something that is the need of the hour. I'm saying costing, pricing is so sensitive. You'll see batteries, you'll see all of this. See, in India, what everything needs to be done is, how do I save money as a consumer? That's even you will convert to electric only when it kind of gives you that sort of saving, right? And I think you all have been to China. Scale will get you to saving. Scale. Quality will get you. I think the younger generation understands this. I think that the mining, the rules and regulations, and look, we have to go and come back to battery, and I know time is very limited. Battery, whether, we're doing NMC, we're doing sodium air, we're doing aluminum, alternate source of battery tech. Luca talked about it, other people talked about it. I think there's a lot of new technologies. See, when you invest in technologies, you need to also have demand, right? I'll give you this example. When we first started OSM, battery supplies were limited. Today, on LFP battery, every day, somebody new comes and says, I got a battery. That'll bring costs down. Same thing with everything. So I think, we've got to continually work on it. The beautiful part is if you have a new technology, there is money to be had from international investors and others. And I think the only way, and I keep saying this again and again, we have to all work together. This is not a Tata, Mahindra, Volvo, Marpos, OSM. It is all of us together. And the market is big enough. This country is big enough. Damn, I was at that cricket match, which was very disappointing just a day ago. You could see, if you want to get people working from Team India, we can do it. I really think, right? So I think there is a opportunity of a lifetime here. I think that we can do it. I think the momentum is behind it. I can only look at it that way, because if I want a cleaner and a greener future for this country, I got to believe, maybe you'll see, maybe you will all think, man, this guy is drinking his own Kool-Aid, but I'll drink it if I need to make a better country. And I think we all got to, listen, we all got to do our part, because if that soldier in the front line thinks, why do I take a bullet for a small salary? Then nobody protects the country. So I think we all got to be soldiers here. I think there is an opportunity, and I mark my words, 5 years ago, people didn't think this was going to be an opportunity. And I think 5 years, maybe I'll be too old and I'll be, I'll be in Lake Como with my friend Luca, and we'll have a drink there by the lake. We'll be too old, but I'm thinking the younger guys like all of you here will take it to the next level.
Wow. Okay. Uday, it's so great to have you as a brand ambassador for the EV industry. Yuvraj, just a second. So scale, quality, and technology, these are the three important points, important factors. And by the way, Uday, this Diwali, you're sitting in Delhi and I'm in Mumbai. Mumbai gave a very tough fight to Delhi this Diwali. Your AQI went up to 1,000. We were there at around, we gave up at around 500.
But you don't have it because of the construction. So I think your Mumbai, if the construction gets done, you're in a better shape. Here, we've got to get that next town and the next town.
Correct. So the fight was unfair. That match was unfair because Punjab and Haryana were also playing from your side. And we didn't even have Navi Mumbai supporting us because they don't celebrate Diwali like we do. Anyway, so moving on to Murali. Murali, what is your take on whether EVs are truly sustainable? That's a question that a lot of people ask. Are they really a sustainable option? Murali.
Yeah. My perspective on this is, I understood your point about the batteries where the mining is coming up and carbon emissions are more. I agree that it is truth, open truth, nothing to deny on that. But as I can see now, right, whoever panelists around here and also whoever watching this video, all have only one mission, that is promoting EVs and switching over to EVs. That is the mission everybody right now we are talking about, right? So everybody is dreaming about it. So in my view, despite there are problems, yes, there is a problem with the carbon emissions and all, but that doesn't mean we stop this mission and just go back, right? So our idea should be into getting into the alternate options, like as we just discussed, like for example, sodium ion technologies and also like hydrogen powered, right? These things all will be alternate options. Soon we need to do R&D, and then we should transform ourselves towards that. That will be more greener. In addition to that, also in other side of the EVs, for example, input power to EVs where we're getting charged right now can be moved from thermal to some other renewable technologies where we can make the input as a sustainability, so that as a whole system, as a whole value chain, EVs can be sustainable. That is what my thoughts are on this. Okay.
Absolutely. Great
So,
point.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think
Yuvraj,
this
your
is what
thoughts?
my idea.
Thanks.
Yeah.
That's actually insightful.
So
Yuvraj, your thought?
I just want to, answer it directly in a very straightforward manner that EVs are practically and also scientifically proven are more sustainable than our current IC vehicles. And you have to look at it from well to wheel emission, right? You have to look at from cradle to grave level of emission. The emission that is caused by, an oil well in terms of getting oil extracted, then getting oil refined, transporting the oil, getting it to the last fuel pump, including the inefficiencies of a fuel pump, getting into the vehicle, then the 17% efficiency or whatever, 30% efficiency, the rest of it going into all different kinds of noise pollution, air pollution, vibrations, etc., heat, etc. And from there to, eventual scrapping of vehicle. If you look at from that perspective, electrics today are scientifically proven, even with the current state of grid that we have as a country, which is 70-75% thermal. With that also, it is lower emitting. So what we are doing, we are moving from a most inefficient state to a slightly more efficient state. And when we shift our grid to solar, we become to an even more efficient state. And when we shift from lithium to sodium, we become to an even more efficient state. And then likewise, right? So there is a clear direction that we as humanity has taken in terms of moving from whatever state we are to a slightly more efficient state. And that should be the one. I mean, if you keep arguing about whether electric is sustainable or not, and then should we discuss that, by the time we've discussed, there is a diesel truck which has emitted, 500 kgs of carbon dioxide somewhere. So clearly there shouldn't be any discussion. And I'm surprised because this is something I've been hearing in debates for last 10 years. And look, in the 10 years, we have gone from where to here in terms of the scientific evidence is available. Still, we are questioning this to ourselves.
Absolutely. You've articulated it very well. Lovely.
Head
Lovely
down
response.
and work on this. I think
Absolutely.
idea is find out which is a better efficient. How can we find a more sustainable battery? How can we get fossil-free steel? The steel that you see in that, hauler in the back of my picture is actually using fossil-free steel. Extracting steel, mining steel, even if you use electric vehicle, it is such a carbon emitting process. So you have to look at the whole value chain and cut all the parts and look at each part of the value chain and see what is the more efficient and more sustainable way to do the same thing. And
great response.
Electric is the way to it.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for that fact-based, informative response, Yuvraj. Really appreciate that. Luca, your take on whether EVs are really sustainable?
No, my view is I'm absolutely in agreement with my colleague. I don't think that there is nothing to add on this. The only thing that I want to again put on the table, as Yuvraj just said, that are 10 years that is listening this debate between are really sustainable or not, is because we are going back to my opening point. Pushing people out of their comfort zone is one of the most difficult things. We are born, we've been grown with the IC engine. So it's something that we know, we perfectly know. So it's easy. Who now haven't seen or doesn't have a car, So I mean, everyone is used to see ICE engine in two-wheeler, in three-wheeler, in four-wheeler. So pushing them out of their comfort zone is one of the most difficult things. And as Uday said before, here, guys, we are in front of the marathon. It's not a 100-meter fast track, is a marathon, or maybe it's an Ironman, not a marathon, maybe it's an Ironman, even more strong. So yes, it's sustainable, but again, we need to push on the young generation or educate themselves on what is meaning the sustainability, to build a 360-degree sustainable ecosystem, starting from the energy generation, helping the mining, because if I have a furnace, this furnace can be alimented with the coal, but have to be alimented with the electrical energy. And how I can making it sustainable using 100% renewable electrical energy, you know. So it's an ecosystem. It's only purely a matter of education, is my point of view.
Thanks so much, Luca.
Thank you.
Raman, if you could wrap up your answer in a sentence or two, we have gentlemen waiting for another meeting. Yes.
For a moment, I just thought Yuvraj just got into my mind and said whatever I wanted to say regarding this sustainability thing. My say in this is right.
Sorry to interrupt. Just a second. Murali, I believe you have to go for a meeting. Yes, absolutely. Please feel free.
No issues.
Yes, please feel free. Raman, please complete your answer.
Yeah. So
Murali, thanks so much, Murali, for staying back. Appreciate it.